Okay, with Christel Veraart, Santa Fe and Esmeralda, Crossroads is the short film played at the LGBTQ plus film festivals. It's 16 minutes long, and we don't see films like this often. I don't even know where to categorize it. How would you categorize the kind of style and making of this film? What kind of film is this?
Well, I think I'm with you there. I have the same issue. I don't know where to categorize it myself. I did ask Randall Kleiser, who I took a workshop with. He's the famous director of the film
Grease.
Grease, of
Yeah.
course. And he what he said to me, he was at a loss himself and said he called it something like a film poem. I'm not sure. I'd love to hear from the audience where they would put it.
So I guess it's an animation, right? I guess it's animated and it's sort of told as a novel, as like a short story, I guess, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's narrated as a short story, and the
Mhm.
visuals are told through like the animation and things. So it's not it's not like a live action film. It's not an animation film. It's more of a story film. I would call it a story film.
Yes. Yes. Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It started all. It was what happened was I never intended to make a film. It just all happened organically. I wrote. I'm a composer. And a singer and a lyricist. I started writing music. A new album called Nostalgia. And the nostalgia was all based on music on Argentina, which is a place I lived and studied years ago. And then when that was done, I didn't expect that. The whole story rolled out of me that also took place in Argentina. And so that turned out to be my debut book. None of this has been released yet. It's all under wraps. And when that was done, I thought, I have a feeling the music and the book belong together. So I was just playing with that and and I narrated the first chapter, which is Crossroads of the book. And when I was done with it, then I ended up with a soundtrack. But the soundtrack was like, okay, now I need a film. So that's when this whole project came about.
Well, I love it. Let's put it that way. I think it's fantastic. And
Thank
so you did the narration, you wrote the first. This is like a slice of the of the novel itself. Would you ever want to make a whole movie out of the novel?
Well, that's the question right now. I think the whole book is like a movie. I think it reads like that.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, I would be very interested in that. And the music is all done too. So it's like a complete project now, a complete artistic experience.
You just have to do the visuals, I guess.
Well, or somebody else could, I'm not sure that I would have to do that, uh, but I have
Well,
since.
I meant in like in a generic sense. The visuals need to be done, I guess, right? So
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So for now, what I've decided to do is I call Crossroads. So Santa Fe and Esmeralda, I call that Crossroads. I call that a vignette because it portrays the chapters of the book. So I tell the stories and put visuals to it. And there are since I finished the first one, I have finished two more and I don't know. I will see what where they want to go.
okay, so tell me about doing the level. I can like obviously if it's a video podcast, people are watching this on YouTube. They
Mhm.
see that you obviously Um, you do music. You got a grand piano in the background.
Yeah.
You got the keyboard right beside you to your right. So basically, you got speakers. So you
Mhm.
got a violin. Is it a violin that's hanging against on the wall?
Yeah, sure.
So obviously, you're musically inclined. So I
Yes.
guess that I would. So not that anything's easy or hard, but I'm assuming that doing the graphic design on this film would be the challenge for you, the big challenge. So how did that come about to kind of creating the visuals after you did the narration and the music?
Well, let's put it this way. I like a good challenge, that's for sure. And I was, I. It's funny how can I put this? When I write music, one of the most important things for me is to make it really quiet inside of me, and then it somehow rolls out of me. The same thing happened with the visuals. Somehow deep inside you have already a visual in your head of what that fits with the music. I guess I do. I don't
Yeah.
know if everybody does, but I do. But I wasn't sure about that. So, but I had to make it go very quiet and just think about this and sit there and I try different things, try different visuals and it's like, oh, that's not quite it. And so what is it that I'm really seeing? And just I dug deeper and deeper and deeper until I got to the what you see in Santa Fe and Esmeralda Crossroads.
So because it's beautiful, it's like very, it's like it sets the tone and the genre of the story between these two people, and it's like very colorful. And so did it take you a long time to kind of do the graphic design or to do the visuals for this?
No, in the end it didn't because I think it's like it was already half there, but because of the music was there, the story was there, and so part of me that and I had such a when I really sat down and tried to do the visuals, the only thing that happened was I saw at first I wanted to do true footage of Buenos Aires, of the place that I loved and where I lived. And when I saw it back, I thought that doesn't work because it's somehow the story is also told in a very fantasy dreamlike kind of state. And so I needed to have something that would represent that. And
Yeah,
then when I started layering things, that's when it started to work for me.
gotcha. Okay,
Mm.
so like so yeah, it's great. So basically, like I said, I was basically saying that you would next time if it's the bigger project, if you want to do the whole novel, you would like to delegate because according to your stats on Film Freeway, you did everything, right?
Yes, 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 yes. So, and I'm not intending to take away. I'm not. I never intended to do this, but I just got carried away,
Yeah,
and I found it's like a new way of. Some people have said it's like an audio visual book in a
it is.
way.
That's
And so,
exactly what it is.
yeah,
It's a story movie. That's basically what it is.
yeah. So it was just a way to it was just an interesting creative outlet that I've never tried, and I thought, okay, well that's interesting. And ever since I tried it, I'm like completely carried away with this new way to express things. And like I said, I've created two more vignettes.
Oh, you
That
did? Okay.
Yeah, so they're one I have. It's not they're not out yet, but I'm working on it now. I'm finalizing them and they will be coming out too. Mm.
So okay, so you're this is your first film and like first official directorial effort. So what motivated you? What like I see I know it's unlisted on YouTube, that's how you send it in, but I'm assuming you got a nice YouTube channel. I'm assuming you're gonna put this on YouTube eventually. What motivated you to submit to festivals, kind of like ours and other festivals?
Well, it's a good way to bring it. First of all, I was delighted to submit it to your film festival, which because and I think I said that already in an email, but I will repeat it here. You guys have been amazing in putting the artist front and center. And that's not, but what is the advantage of submitting to film festivals is that well, hopefully you win an award and that will draw attention to an audience to come see your film.
Yeah.
So that's, but specifically with your film festival, I was very happy with all the feedback that I received, and this the opportunity to talk to you now in the podcast, and all that's wonderful, and the fact that you sent me an audience feedback video, that was amazing because that's really useful to me to know what an audience how an audience how the audience receives it. I mean, you can cook up anything you want in the studio, and I do, but it's really nice to hear and to get such great feedback from an audience. So I
What
don't
did you
know.
think of what they had to say about your film? What did you think their reactions were?
It was great. It was really nice to hear that it matched what I intended, I was very moved by that and very humbled by that. What I intended with the film was actually picked up on. So that was to get the you can't um, get it any better as an artist. That's so rewarding to hear that what you intended is being picked up by an audience is wonderful. I'm very grateful for that.
And so, yeah, hopefully other festivals pick it up and you get some good traction because I think it is a very unique and special film, and the music's fantastic. So tell me about, okay, you wrote the novel, so the full novel's already done.
It's in the last stages.
Okay,
So it's no, the music is I'm releasing the music track by track.
okay,
There's 60 minutes of music and that is ready to go, but I'm releasing it. I do a soft release first on SoundCloud, and then probably somewhere next year I will release the whole album officially. Part of the music will be choreographed as well. Because it also lends itself very well to dance, and I'm in negotiations with the choreographer to now choreograph it. The book is I'm trying to find an agent, which is a difficult and long process, but I'm in that process, and hopefully the movies or the vignettes that I'm creating will also help with that. Will help me, draw more attention to it.
gotcha. And so what motivated you to, like, I know you're professionally, you're a musician, you're doing it for, like, what motivated you to write a novel?
It just wanted to come out of me. It's a story based on a true story, and it was I had written this, as you can probably hear, I have an accent. I'm Dutch originally, so I had a draft version of this story that I wrote down, jotted down. Oh gosh, 25 years ago. And so I was lying around in Dutch somewhere in the studio, and a friend of mine, walked into the studio after I was done with the music and said, "Well, what's that?" And said, "Well, it's a story I wrote a long time ago." And she said, "Well, what is it about?" And so I told her the story, that it was a story about a friendship of a friend who died of AIDS and who I took care of until the end. And she thought it was such a beautiful story, and she encouraged me to write it down in English. Well, and so I sat down and did that. And then it turned into a much bigger story than it was, because what I realized was that the story was also interesting because um, I went to Argentina as a very young musician and studied classical piano in Buenos Aires. And when I was there, uh, uh, that's where the whole story unfolded. But I watched but I watched also. This was at a time that Argentina just had become a democracy, and I came from a country that had been a democracy for centuries.
Yeah,
I looked at it when I wrote the story now, so many years later. I also I realized that I experienced, that I was part of history there, that I looked at it with Dutch eyes at a place that was just unfolding as a new democracy. And that became very interesting too, because the friend that I had was from a very well, he was also an artist, so it was very. There were lots of angles that I added to the book that never were part of it in the first draft, but they are now. So they can compare how where I grew up,
yeah.
where my friend grew up, and how that influenced us over time.
So this is your story then.
So it is my story, and with a twist. It's not. It's
Gotcha.
based on a true story, and but it's not.
Dramatized a little bit.
Yeah, I dramatized it a bit here. Yeah,
And
sure.
would you ever consider making this into like a live action film?
Yeah, I would need a
Yeah.
screenplay. Yes, I would. I'm definitely interested in that. Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of universal, like, kind of modern themes in the story, and everybody loves a kind of a connection and romance, but there's a lot of ideologies, like a lot of like you're talking about democracy and politics and kind of like ideologies, I guess, right? It doesn't matter, two different worlds, two different hemispheres, right? But
Yes, everything was opposite. You know,
yeah,
the seasons were opposite. My birthday was all of a sudden in spring. For
yeah,
to name it, everything was different. And but for some reason we found there was the fact that in the beginning, with the friend that I met, we couldn't speak. There was no
yeah,
language because I did not speak a word of Spanish, and my friend didn't speak a word of English, whatever, or
yeah,
Dutch, let alone so there was for the first 4 months of the friendship, there was no way we could communicate with verbally, but there
yeah,
was somehow a connection. And I think that is so there's a universality that's the theme in the book, is the universality in what connects us all as human beings.
mhm,
There's a universality in, you know, grief exists in every shape, in every place in the on the planet, and so there we can find commonality there, and um,
yeah. We're all the same. So your birthday's in the fall, their birthday's in the spring.
well, my birthday is in the fall in this hemisphere, but it is
Yeah, but
of
it's the
course,
spring in their hemisphere, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it would be spring in Argentina.
That was my point, is like it's the other side of the coin,
Yeah.
but it's still the same coin. It's like we're the same. Like even if you flip it over, it's just it's all the same thing, right? So
Same. Yeah, it's the same. And so and I think I find that beautiful. I've traveled a lot all over the world and lived in many different places. And I think that's just, I find that beautiful, that every place I've ever lived and every culture I ever encountered, they just add so much richness to your existence and and then of course to your art, because they
yeah.
have become an integral part of, who I am and what I produce.
And how did you land in the United States?
A husband. We met I met him in Mexico when I was living in Mexico,
Okay.
and he's American, and so one of us wanted to move, and that was me. So that's how I ended up in the US.
And so and basically how long ago was that? Or I don't even want to age itself, but
Oh,
it was a lot. I guess it was a bit ago, I guess.
yeah, 20 years ago.
Okay. And so, but that's romantic in itself, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So travel is a big it has always been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So and it still is, even after moving to the US, I didn't stay put.
But it's amazing where you land though, right? Like did you ever think when you grew up that you were going to live in the United States one day and be married to an American?
No, I did think I was going to move to a different country.
Yeah.
I always knew that, but I never thought it was going to be the US. I
Yeah.
honestly thought it was going to be Argentina or Brazil or Mexico, a Latin
Yeah.
American country. I never imagined it to be the US. But the US is, to me, it's almost like neutral grounds. It's
So what,
somewhere
what
between
state, what state are you in?
in Arizona.
Oh,
No,
wow. You got the swing state. So
yeah. Well,
that's
I've been in
fantastic.
many different states in the US, from Alaska to California to Arizona to,
Yeah.
so, but now I am in Arizona.
I was just watching 60 Minutes on Maricopa, is it County?
Maricopa. Uh-huh.
Maricopa County. Wow, there's a lot of crazy people in that county. Wow. It's like
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of come the next month, it's gonna be a lot of
fingers
attention. Yes.
crossed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
So
I
yeah, you
know.
got some stories to tell. Maybe a new story
Yes.
next month.
Oh, there's lots of stories still to tell.
Yeah.
I'm, I think I'm going to keep. Now that I tasted, got a taste of writing, and I've always done that a little bit, but not like a full book.
Yeah.
But I think I'm onto something, just as I'm onto something with these films.
Yeah, I think you are. I think they're fantastic, and I think that you made your first film, and you seem to be artistically like confident and you just did what you thought was best, and look what you made. You made something that no, like you said, nobody can pinpoint it. It's like its own little, we're creating niches, we're creating genres for your film. Because
Yeah, I just hope that Betty, I hope that that's a good thing that
that's a
you
great thing. I'm telling you, that's a great thing.
you did. Well, but it's difficult though to where to put it, right?
But you
So,
have emotion that basically it's like, not to sound corny, but there's emotion in the film because people do that all the time, but then they're generally bad films. But you made like a unique film that basically that tells a story in,
uh-huh.
in a unique way because of its visuals and its music, but then we're emotionally engaged into
Right. Okay, well, that's great. Yeah. But you, can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Would you put it would you call this a narrative short, or would you call it an animated short? Or where would you put it then?
Well, it depends what festival you submit to.
Right. Okay.
So it could be an animation for sure. You can submit to any animation festival you want to, and you will get accepted into almost all of them. I can guarantee you that. You can make it can be an experimental film for sure. You can
Okay.
submit to experimental festivals because it is experimental in nature. It's also romance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
also, like you said, it's also an LGBTQ plus story, right? So there's lots of options to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's really is it's where the tagline of the book is where friendship and love intersect.
Yeah,
That's what it really is about, you know.
yeah, 100%. So it can go to different categories, but yeah, and it's definitely an animation film for sure.
Okay. I'm keeping that in mind. You help me by giving it a category.
Yeah, yeah, it depends what you want with it. Like I said, I'm assuming your final distribution is your YouTube channel.
I haven't, this, like I said, this took me by surprise.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking about it as we go, but yes, probably yes. So when it run a course on the film festivals, then we'll see. I'll do that, and I have a very active YouTube channel already,
yeah.
which you can find under my
Yeah, I
name.
saw it. I was just on it just 2 seconds ago. Well, I think it's fantastic. Like I said, I appreciate your time, and let's talk when the next vignette or the next film is made. And I'd love to talk more about your projects and your music.
Very much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.